Well, Sebastian's been doing the mixing as well as the recording and engineering.
I was slowly building up the mixes as we recorded more tracks. Songs like Bite the Bullet were a little bit more raw and had less tracks, and songs like Skywalk were a little bit more processed and had a lot of tracks. So we basically went for this approach. The simpler songs were a little bit more processed and had more tracks, meanwhile the more complex songs would be a little bit more raw sounding. That way there was a better balance between the songs throughout the record. I listened to Uprising and Refuel and I thought, okay, Uprising is a little too polished and Refuel is a little too raw, so I decided to go for something in between with Dusk of Another Dawn.
You know, if we noticed anything that was different or off, we'd ask questions or we'd ask to make some changes when the process was on. And it is a little bit hard to do that when you're in the thick of it. So we had at the end of the recording, we had a session where we just sat down and listened to all the songs.
Surprisingly, Skywalk wasn't the hardest song to mix with all these tracks, but it was actually woulda, coulda, shoulda, because for some reason the bus compressor really hated the gang vocals on that song. Most of the songs weren't very difficult to mix. I was able to mix them the way I was hearing it in my head, but then I showed it to the guys. I'm like, okay, what do you think? And then they decided to give their own opinions on them, and I'm like, okay, this will work, I'll definitely do that. Or, nah, I'm not gonna do that, that's not gonna work out.
And then Sebastian went back and worked on all of those mixings. So regarding the mastering, once we were finished the recording process, we were looking around for somebody to do the mastering, so we talked to some buddies and looked on the internet, got some references and stuff like that. So we actually found this guy, Jay Fee, from Conduction Mastering, and Seb took it away from there. He was working with Jay to get the tracks just right and the way we liked it.
At first I was a little hesitant because I'm very protective of my mixes and it had to be done remotely, but then Reno and Jared told me that there's nothing to worry about and if something goes wrong then we're all in this together. So I ended up sending my mixes to Jay and he took it from there.
It was a very pleasant experience working with him, easy to work with, got what we needed, was patient with us and likewise with him, and we were quite happy with the end result. I had done work with a company there before, and for this time I just was looking at having somebody else do it for a change. So I found this woman in the States named Rachel Chandler, and she had her own company, Artistic Guide, and her work seemed interesting, so I chatted her up and just went from there. She actually started work on the artwork for the album about, I'd say, a year and a half before the album came out. It might have been a little premature, but at the same time, I didn't know how long the recording process was going to take. So it was a good thing to start then. And so when we had the pandemic and we couldn't record, so obviously it was a break. But she had started the initial illustrations in the fall of 2019. And again, somebody who's very pleasant to work with, and lots of tweaking we had with the credits and the layout and sizing, all kinds of stuff like that. But really enjoyed her work on the layout for the CD, and that was essentially it. It was ready to go, and we had put it on all of the platforms and everything, so it's a great job.
For a record made by an independent rock band, I think it sounds pretty good. Could we have done better? Yeah, of course, but we weren't aiming for perfection. And I do listen to the album once in a while.
I like the ways the songs were put together and how they complement each other, the whole aspect of the full album.
Yeah, I think it was a big success. The sound of the album is pretty even keeled when you listen to it from beginning to end, so I'm glad it sounded that way that it came out.
Well, thanks everyone for checking out the documentary, and really hope you enjoyed it. We had fun making it, and before we say adieu, we'd like to introduce you to our new drummer. Say hi to Anson. And he's now with us to go on to the next journey. So, cheers everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.